What happens when you have a live stream and you have to cut it short because you're going out on a sailboat in Hawaii? Find out next. Aloha, everybody. Aloha, Chaffee. How are you
Hey,
doing?
Scott. So I hear you're leaving me today.
Exactly. Today is I'll go on the sailboat day in Hawaii. So everybody, I am in Hawaii. I'm on the island of Oahu on the North Shore, and my buddy that is putting me up, which is just wonderful because I'm not in a hotel and I'm not spending any money on rent, has a sailboat. And today is a beautiful day. The last 3 weeks have been pouring rain, and it's just been the odd nice day. And today is nice, so we're going to go and do a little bit of work, take some pictures of his boat, and head out onto the water because there are humpback whales. So that's why today is going to be much shorter. And our topic is about focusing on goals. So my goal is to have a shorter live stream with Chaffee that's absolutely amazing, and then head out on the ocean. So
I think your focus is getting on the boat, and everything else doesn't matter, or
now,
matters less.
is that not the secret to focusing on your goals?
That's right. It is. It was making it a priority and making things happen. Right, taking care of what you need to take care of first.
So Chaffee, what happens if you have 10 goals?
Well, again, we talk about focusing on your goals. Only if you have 10 goals and you split your focus on 10 things, then you get none of them done, right? So
exactly.
So this is what focus stands for, Scott. And I tell everyone this. I tell my son this. I tell my students this. Everything is focus stands for follow one course until successful. Okay, so follow one course until successful. And so when you place that one goal, if you have 10 goals, you got to choose which one of those goals is the most important and put that above everything else. And that's the one that you're aiming for. That's the one that you want to finish. That's the one that you want to target. And then the other ones you want to get done as well, except, again, what's the priority? What's the highest and best use of your time? And focus on that. Follow that one course until you get that done, and then start tackling the other 9.
Yeah. And of course, in a 24-hour day, we have goals like go to sleep, eat, pardon me. So it's not like you're going to be spending all of your day on necessarily all of your day on. I mean, you have to be pretty obsessive to be able to spend all of your day working just on one goal. So you're going to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to work on this priority. And depending on what your goals are, they may be, for example, one of my goals is to walk a mile a day. So I can say, you know what, I've done this live stream with Chaffee. I've done my sailboat thing. I've got this done. I've got that done. And, now I can, now that goal becomes to the top, right? And I can do it. One of the things that one of my mentors said once is that we have financial goals, we have health goals, we have emotional goals, we have spiritual goals, we have I'm not sure if I said physical goals, and one of the things that he said was, it's very difficult. So that's 5 areas that you should have goals in, right? But it's very difficult to be totally focused and achieving all of those goals. His philosophy was, I'm feeling like I'm not as fit as I should be. So that goal becomes a bit higher. But then I'm not in my spending time in my relationships the way I would. So that one comes. And so there are always this kind of fluctuations that are going on. And I think that's just sort of part of life.
So Scott, what you're talking about, what comes to my mind when you mention that is something that a lot of people call having a balanced life, right? And so, and to me, just so you know, and I'll get into this a little bit, is that having a balanced life is a bunch of hogwash, right? So, I mean, you hear it all the time, right? You should have a balanced life. You should, make sure that you have your professional life and your personal life and, all these other lives, and you should balance them, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, the concept of a balanced life is I bought into that when I started getting into business, when I started getting into this. And what I found, as you said, is that certain things take priority. And so there's really never this kind of balance that happens. It's always things moving back and forth, and it's a well-oiled machine. And so when you think about it, though, what happens when something is completely, totally balanced, right? If you're standing on one foot and you're completely balanced, what are you doing? You're not moving, right? You're stuck.
You're
You're
staying.
standing still. And so when you have a completely balanced life, sometimes it just means you're not moving. Right? And maybe you're stuck in your comfort zone, you're stuck in your rut, you're stuck in your career, you're stuck in your life, and everything's balanced, and you know, it might seem like this pretty world around you, like, oh, I'm so happy and balanced. Only again, you're not moving, you're not growing, you're not developing. And so for me, it's more about how well do you integrate everything, right? So how well do you put everything together and make that your life? And when I think about the most successful individuals out there, the Oprahs, the Bill Gates, the Elon Musk, you know, they don't have a personal life and a professional life and different kind of lives. They have life. They do what they love. They love what they do. They don't separate things. They talk about it with their friends and their family. It's all one thing, and it's just they move forward and they adjust as they need to in order to accomplish what it is that they're passionate about, what they love to do. So hogwash on the balanced life.
No, I absolutely, totally agree with you, Chaffee. That's a really, really good point. And so the other thing when it comes to focus in my mind is what we focus on increases. So if we're focusing on the negative, we're focusing on the positive, it makes a difference. But when things aren't going well, how do we not focus? I mean, is that like an attitude or a mindset on it? Like, okay, because we all have failures. Well, let's put failures in quotes, right? Things don't work out the way that we want. So then it's, well, and let's take I'm just thinking as an example, like a young man who just had his girlfriend break up with him, right? You have two choices. You have, and I think I've told this story before, so I'm not going to tell it now, but you know, you can say, oh, poor me, oh, I've been rejected. Or you can say, you know what, there's lots of other young ladies out there that would, you know, want to spend time with me, not just this one.
And you're a strapping, young, handsome man, right, Scott?
Not me. I was thinking of somebody else that I know.
Yeah. So, you know, again, it is a mindset, as you said, and I think more importantly than a mindset, it's just an understanding, right? And the understanding is exactly what you said, is where your focus goes, what you focus on, you're sending energy to, and where energy flows, results grow. And so if you're sending energy to negative things, if you're focusing on negative things and thinking about negative things, then that negativity grows, right? And so in your relationship, I always, you know, I've been in past relationships that may or may not have worked out. And in my mind, it's always, I got into that relationship for a reason. What was that reason that I got into that relationship? And if I'm no longer in that relationship, then there is a reason for that too. What are the lessons I can learn from that so that my next relationship can be much better, can be much stronger, can be much more fruitful? And what changes do I need to make, if any, so that I can have those kind of results? And so, you know, the experiences in my life are what made me who I am today. And if I look at them in a negative light, I would be in a completely different place. I'd be a completely different person. Now, sometimes, like you said, if you have failure after failure after failure after failure, then are you focusing on the failure part, or are you focusing on what you learned from those failures so that you can continue to move forward and grow and eventually get out of the series of failures into a series of successes, right? As Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, always said, you know, after 10,000 trials, he finally developed the light bulb. He said that I didn't fail 10,000 times. I learned 10,000 ways of not to produce a light bulb. And
using the word trial instead of failure, that was a big shift in because I'd never heard the trial word before. I'd always heard the fail word. And so that's right. So in everything that you're doing, and really, and it's hard for people, right? It's like, oh, I got an F on my test, or I went bankrupt, or, other thing, I put on 10 pounds instead of losing 10 pounds. I mean, it's hard to look at those things as anything positive, but really they can be.
Yeah, and again, like we were saying, if that's all you focus on is the things that the challenges that you're having versus the solutions that can help you get out of those, then you're going to repeat those mistakes. You're going to history repeats itself, and I wish some people in today's world would realize that and actually learn history. And
Yeah.
history does repeat itself, and if you don't learn the lessons of the past, if you don't learn the lessons from your experience, then you're bound to continue to repeat that cycle. And again, anytime that you're feeling a challenge, then the way out of that is to focus on solutions. And again, I say focus, right? Because that's where you want to put your energies into, realizing that something that that happened that maybe you did not want to occur, and that is all part of experience. That is all part of life. And so again, what happened? How can you avoid doing that again in the future? How can you prevent those challenges from occurring? And how can you build better businesses, relationships, successes going forward?
Right.
And so focusing, moving forward versus, and I'll give you an example, Scott, is that, I've lost deals on real estate where, and other businesses where the individuals that I worked with, and one of the things I always say, Scott, is that my best businesses have always been with partners. My worst businesses have always been with partners, right? and so, in the past, I've had a deal go bad, and it was because the gentleman I was working with ended up somewhat getting desperate and ended up running away with money, and it wasn't the right thing to do. It wasn't the proper thing to do, the ethical thing. He just got greedy and desperate on certain things that were happening in his life, and instead of working with me to figure things out, he ended up taking money and running. And, for me, I had some choices because I talked to some attorneys about what I can do. What are my options? And it was, well, you could always sue this guy and, get your money back. And then I thought about it, and I was thinking, okay, well, if I spend a bunch of energy pursuing this guy, hiring an attorney, and then maybe I win, maybe I don't, only it's going to take a year or two. And then I get a judgment and I go after this guy and he has no money. And then I got to find whatever assets he has. And then I have to go to collections, yada, yada, yada. 5 years later, I may or may not get something, only I'm going to be, 20, 30,000 or more in the hole because of attorney fees and other fees. Well, it's horrible that happened. Only why don't I instead just focus on making more money and doing more deals, and then I don't have to worry about it. Right?
And learn from the lesson so you don't repeat it.
Exactly.
I often say I make lots of mistakes. I only get mad at myself when I make the same mistake twice because I should have learned from the first time. And I want to tell you a quick story on the opposite side of. I want to tell you what your future would have looked like if you'd have done what you said you weren't going to. Which if you'd have done what you didn't do. Because I have a friend who lost $40,000 because his CFO had a gambling problem and took all his money. So he went to the police. The police said, in this sort of thing, we almost never get a conviction. You're better off just to forget it. So he said, screw that. And he spent the next 2 years, he made like 2,500 page document, took it back to the FBI and the police. They went, wow, okay, well, we can charge this guy. And then he also did a civil suit. Well, the guy has a gambling problem, so he has no money. And so then they went back to him and they said, okay, we can charge him. We can take him to court. I'm pretty sure that we can put him in jail. But, if that happens, you're never going to get your money. So what do you want to do? And I don't recall which way he went with that. I think he said, yeah, we're going to court. And then it was like, then the judge says, well, okay, he's guilty. Do you want me to put him in jail, or do you want to get your money back? And you're not going to get the money back if he goes to jail, and you may not get the money back if he stays out, because he's got a gambling problem and he's poor and he has no money. So basically, he destroyed his business in that 2 years because he focused so heavily on getting revenge on this guy, and it really just absolutely destroyed, all the momentum he had. It was 2 years of growing and developing in his business that he didn't do, and it's sort of like watching a car crash in slow motion, and so it's. Is that your goal, to get revenge on somebody that does you wrong, or is it to, sail a boat in Hawaii one day, right? Can't do both. So which is it? And I think oftentimes we call it cutting off your nose to spite your face, right? Like is your goal that you're focusing on the right goal for what you want to do? And maybe that's a problem people have when it comes to focusing, is that they don't have the right goal.
Absolutely. And as you said, Scott, instead of spending 2 years writing up this 2,500 page document and going after this guy, if he would have spent those 2 years focusing instead on rebuilding his business, growing his business, after 2 years, he probably would have made much more money back than the 40,000 that he lost. Right. And he would have a thriving business that could continue to carry him forward, or potentially have a thriving business that would continue carrying him forward from that point on. And instead, like you said, he ran his business to the ground. And after 2 years, maybe he felt a little better. I don't know. Maybe not. Only then he had to start all over and figure out something else to produce income for himself. Right.
Yeah. Well, he didn't feel good about the whole thing at all, but
Yeah.
it was like, yeah, I got the guy. That's like, man,
Right.
testosterone out of control here. Right.
Yeah. So it's better, again, for me, to make more money ethically, responsibly, than it is to go after bad money. Right. Good money is always better than bad money. Bad money is bad money for a reason. Right. It's negative.
Yeah.
It's challenging. It's taking you down, like you said, Scott. Maybe your goals aren't the right kind of goals that you should be focusing on. And so if they're not the right kind of goals that people should be focusing on, Scott, then what are some suggestions that you have that people can do to make sure they are the right kind of goals?
Well, I think the first thing is lists. Like, I really feel like there's 5 areas of life, right? You got the financial, physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional, right? So financial is obvious, like, do I have enough money to pay the rent? Physical is, am I in good shape, or am I obese? Am I too thin? Am I eating well? Am I exercising? Am I doing the sports that I like to do? Emotional is relationships. So what's my relationship with my family like, with my significant other, my kids, my friends, that sort of thing. Like, do we need to add, currency to the emotional bank accounts? And there's always somebody that we do, right? And then there's, do I have resentments to people and that sort of stuff? Do I love people and not tell them, that sort of thing? Spiritual for me is the way it was described to me, is not just a religious thing as well as a service thing. So are you contributing to your community? Are you, like, on the beach picking up a piece of garbage, or just walk by it, sort of thing? Or, are you helping a family in Africa that's having a problem, or a family down the street that's having a problem? And then the mental one is learning. So am I learning a new skill? Like, for me, it would be like Spanish. I'm still struggling with my Spanish, but I'm dedicated to learning it. Or it could be a new skill at work, or it could be a new skill that's just going to make you a more rounded person. And then you have those set of goals, and then but then it's like, okay, like, I'm not sure which way to go. I would then say the next step is to go find a coach in those areas. So if you're not as fit as you want, go get a personal trainer coach. If your business isn't doing what you want, go get a business coach. And then your friends, talk to your friends. Like, I'm thinking of doing this goal, right? And they'll look at you, and they may support you, they may not support you, they may never support you in anything, in which case, you reevaluate that friendship. But they can see you in ways that you can't see yourself. So I'm basically saying, don't be a lone ranger. Talk to people, get help, get assistance, get support, and and things will change.
Perfect. So again, just to summarize what you said, is get feedback.
That's right. That's right.
So,
but here's the thing: if you're a drug addict, don't get feedback from other drug addicts.
Right.
Like
Absolutely.
if you're stuck in a negative thing, then don't get that. You have to understand the situation, right? So, for example, if you have a family that is poor, non-supportive, and likes to watch Netflix all the time, and you want to become a multimillionaire, then asking your dad advice may not be the best choice, right? So, I mean, we have to look at our situations and sort of figure it out. And the easy way to understand if it is or isn't is after you've asked for their advice, after you've taken their advice, are you closer to your goal or further away? And if you're further away, then you don't have to tell everybody everything about your life, right? Like, I think some people feel like I'm an open book, and then they just share everything. And to give you an example, I was dating this gal 20 years ago, and she told her family everything that we did, except maybe in bed. I don't know about that part. And then she wondered why her family wasn't very, supportive of me or very nice to me or said very nice things about me to her. And then she realized, like, I'm telling them not everything, all the bad things. And so they think Scott's this big jerk because of all these bad. And she says, so she said, and she told me, she says, I just realized why my family is not really very supportive of us. And so I didn't tell them all the good things you did. I told them all the bad things you did. So you have to look at how you're communicating.
Yeah, and so the because I know we're running out of time, let me just wrap that up. Is that if you want to be successful in something, find somebody that's already successful and do what they do, right? So if you want advice on your goals, find somebody that has already achieved your goals and been successful in those goals and ask them for their advice, or find multiple people for that. And that's where I think, like you said, Scott, a coach can come in and help you with that, because if the coach themselves hasn't done that, those goals or achieved those goals, then they probably know some other people that have, or have worked with other people that have. And so that would be a good reference point for you to start from. So find somebody that has achieved those goals, or know other people that have achieved those goals, or worked with people that have achieved those goals, and get the feedback of those individuals to make sure that you are working on and focusing on the right goals for you and for your business and for your life.
That's a beautiful, beautiful way of tying everything together and bringing this episode to a conclusion. Chaffee, thank you.
Awesome. Well, Scott, I know you need to go enjoy a sailboat.
I'll just show everybody. This is kind of my view. There's the palm trees.
Nice. I will be with you in spirit.
I'll wave to you, Chaffee, up there in the sky.
That's right.
So thank you for joining us, everybody. Appreciate you a lot. Thanks, Chaffee, for adding your wisdom to our show. I appreciate everything that you bring into my life. You've certainly improved it in many, many ways. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. And thank you, Scott, for putting all this together and working with me to make it happen.
Awesome. So that wraps up our show today, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Aloha.